Hello students, good morning all of you. Once again, welcome back to the mobile computing online class. With the last video, we successfully completed unit number 2. Unit number 2 consisting of Mac, medium access control, what is the need for specialized Mac, hidden terminal problems, exposed terminal problems, near and far terminal problems, how we have to avoid the hidden, exposed and near and far terminal problems, and how the medium accesses, what are the different medium accesses, SDMA, TDMA, FDMA, CDMA, and what is the comparison between comparison between among FDMA, SDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. And in TDMA, we discussed about Aloha systems and CSMA CA and CSMA CD collision detection. So there in collision detection, we discussed which is very much good for wired communication. But coming to the wireless, CA or collision avoidance is the best technique used there in the collision avoidance. Thereafter, in the part 2, we completed wireless LANs. So the best wireless LAN is the IEEE 802.11. So the architecture of 802.11 and the protocol architecture of 802.11 that we covered in the second part of the unit. In this video, it is especially made for this is the overview of unit number 2. Overview of the unit number 2. So in this video, I cover all the 8 lectures what we covered in the past 2 weeks. This is the lecture number 1. Here in the lecture number 1, we covered the syllabus of unit number 2. So the unit number 2 is medium access control, MAC. So here in the medium access control unit, we covered the introduction to the MAC and motivation for a specialized MAC. Therein motivation for what is the need for specialization MAC. There we discussed some problems of hidden terminal problems, exposed terminal problems, and near and far terminal problems we covered there. And medium access, different medium access we covered, that is HDMA, FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. We covered there in the part number 1. Coming to the second part of this unit, we discussed about wireless LAN and IEEE 802 architectures and protocol architectures and comparison between among those 4 HDMA, FDMA, TDMA, and CDMAs. So here in the lecture number 1 is the basic thing of MAC. So MAC is the medium access control and communication protocol of this is the sublayer of data link layer. Is the sublayer of data link layer. So data link layer consisting of 2 sublayers. One is LLC logical link control and second one is the MAC medium access controller. So the MAC is the in between physical layer and the LLC logical link in between LLC and the physical layer. If you observe this diagram, you can easily understand that is so is the data link layer and physical layer. So transmission medium is the internet model. Coming to the IEEE standard model, the physical layer communicating with MAC. So MAC is in between LLC logical link control and physical layer. MAC is placed in between physical layer and logical link layer. So data link layer is divided into 2 parts, that is LLC logical link control and MAC medium access control. And what is the need for motivation of specialized MACs? So this is one of the most commonly used MAC scheme for wide networks, carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. So CSMA CD is the best carrier sense multiple access for collision detection in wide network. So because there in wide network, it is possible sender sends the medium. If the medium is busy, the sender waits until it's free, and the sender start transmitting of data and continues to listen into the medium. If the sender detects any collision, it stops and once and it sends a jamming signal. So all these things are possible in the wide communication. But coming to the wireless communication, data has to be transmitted from one node to the another node. So without a medium, so there the medium was either air or vacuum we have to be using to transmit the data packets. So this one is not work there in the wireless communication. When compared with wired, so collision detection is not possible in the wireless communication. CSMA CD. So what are the problems occurred? There is the signal strength decreases proportional to the square of the distance. The signal strength decreases, it's proportional to the square of the distance, and sender could apply either CS and CD, but the collision happens at the receiver. If you apply CS and CD at sender side, but there is a possibility of a collision happened there at the receiver side. So it might be the case that a sender cannot hear the collision. So CD doesn't work in the wireless communication. So further, the CS might not work. That is, the terminal is hidden. That is the lecture number 1. We covered the syllabus, basic syllabus about the MAC. So motivation for the specialized MAC. Coming to the lecture number 2. So what is the need for specialized MAC? In general, what are the problems occurred in the data transmission from one terminal to the another terminal? So the first problem here is the hidden terminal problem. Hidden terminal problem. So what happened there here in the hidden terminal problem is, for example, these three are the terminals A, B, C. So A, B, C are the three terminals. If you observe this diagram, B in the range of A, B in the range of C, but A not in the range of C and C not in the range of A. Okay, once again I am repeating, A not in the range of C, C not in the range of B, sorry, C not in the range of A, but here the B is in the range of both A and C. So what happened here is, when once the terminal check for the medium to transmit the data, whenever it sends, it shows an empty. Because C doesn't know about A doesn't know about C. Here C doesn't know about A doesn't know about C, because C not in the range of A not in the range of C. So what happened here is, whenever A wants to transmit the data to the B, A starts to send a frame. Again C wants to transmit the data to the B, so it sends on that time it is very much free, so it transmits the data packet. So automatically a collision occurred there in the B. So that is the hidden terminal problem. So here C is the hidden terminal to A and A is the hidden terminal to the C. So this one is the hidden terminal problem. For that purpose we need a specialized MAC. So how we have to avoid this? So what is hidden terminal problem? So one terminal not in the range of another terminal to transmit data to the terminal which is in the range of both terminals. So that's what we discussed. A sends to B, C cannot hear it. C wants to send to B, C sends a free medium, so and starts transmitting. Collision at B occurs, A cannot detect this collision, so and continues with its transmission to B. So it is hidden for, so A is hidden from C and vice versa, that is C is hidden from A. So this is the exposed terminal problem. So what is exposed terminal problem? Here in the exposed terminal problem, for example, B wants to send data to A. B wants to send data to A. B wants to send data to A. C again wants to send data to D. So this is the separate way. This is the separate way. B wants to transmit data to A. C wants to transmit the data to D. But when C wants to transmit data, whenever it sends the medium, if the medium is busy, automatically C postpones its transmission until it detects the medium as being ideal. But here, what is the problem? So A is outside the range of C. A is outside the range of C. So here the waiting is not necessary. C wants to transmit data to D, not to A. So the waiting time is the delay time. So it is the main drawback of exposure terminal problem. So B wants to transmit data to A, C wants to transmit data to D. So that is the main problem here happened there in the exposure terminal problem. So here in the hidden terminal causes the collisions and the exposure terminal causes the unnecessary delay. Exposure terminal causes unnecessary delay. So why the unnecessary delay is happened here? So C doesn't want to transmit data to A. So A not in the range of C, but C waits until the medium is ideal. So that is the problem occurred here in the exposure terminals. This is the near and far terminal problem. Generally, if the near device is communicating with the near terminal, that is very much a difficult problem for the terminals to communicating with one with another. So the near and far effect is a severe problem of wireless networking using CDM. With this purpose, we already discussed one example. So user 1 there in Vijayawada, user 2 there in Hyderabad, again user 3 there in Vijayawada. So if user 2 wants to transmit data to user 1 and user 3 again wants data to user 1. So user 3 is nearer to user 1, so he accessing the medium quicker than user 2. It's a bit difficult task. It's a very much problematic situation. So we have to avoid that that is a near and far problem. So medium accesses, multiple accesses. Okay, space division, multiple access, SDMA. It is used for allocating separated space to the users, but it works with the combination of either FDMA or TDMA or CDM. So it works either FDM or TDM or CDM. So here the space is divided. So this is the lecture number 2 we covered. Then in the lecture number 3, we started with FDMA, that is frequency division multiplexing or frequency division multiple accessor. So here it describes the schemes to subdivide the frequency dimension into several non-overlapping frequency bands. Here the frequency is subdivided. So this is a diagram of how the uplink and downlink data for a mobile station to the base station. So frequency is divided. So 890.2 to 915 megahertz is for uplink for mobile station. So it is the downlink for the base station. 890.2 megahertz to 915 is the downlink for uplink for mobile station. So it is the downlink for base station. Again, 935.2 megahertz to 960 megahertz, it is the downlink for mobile station. So vice versa, it is the uplink for base station. So here the full duplex conversion requires a transmit and receive channel pair. So the FDM is often used for simultaneous access of the medium by base station and mobile stations. So that's what we covered here in the FDMA. So frequency is subdivided into number of bands and number of channels. So user uses these channels to transmit the data. For that purpose, we discussed one example that is a 10 number of users wants to transmit data by using 100 bandwidth. So each user can assign a 10 amount of bandwidth. So at a time 10 simultaneously transmit the data by using that particular bandwidth of 100. So so the bandwidth range of each user is just only 10. So but that the main advantage of here is at a time all the 10 users transmits their data packets. That is FDMA. Now coming to the TDMA, here the time is divided into n number of slots. At a time only possibility of one user has to transmit the data. Here time is divided into slots is allocated to the user. So the user wants to transmit the data when he wants to wait until his turn. That means here the user uses entire bandwidth to transmit the data, which is the more flexible one for the wireless communication data transmission. That is TDMA. So here in the TDMA, so the time is divided into slots. So slots are allocated for one slot is allocated for downlink and one slot is allocated for uplink. So the downlink for a mobile station is the uplink for the base station. Vice versa, downlink for the uplink for the mobile station is the downlink for the base station. So that's what we covered in the lecture number 3, FDMA and TDMA. So there in the lecture number 4, that is a classic, we covered the Aloha systems in the TDM. So the classical Aloha. In this scheme, TDM is applied without controlling medium access. Without controlling medium access, if you observe the diagram, so multiple senders, sender A, sender B, and sender C wants to transmit the data. There is no certain time limits. Uh, so sender A wants to transmit the data. He sends the data packets in this way: A1, A2, A3, A4. Sender B, B1, B2, B3, B4, B5, and sender C, C1, C2, C3. They transmit they sends the data packets. So automatically what happened is here that it sends in the random way. So there a big collision, there is a possibility of big collision in the classical Aloha. So to avoid this, there is one refinement is taken for classical Aloha. So that refinement is called slotted Aloha. Refinement is called slotted Aloha. So what happened here in the slotted Aloha is, so slots are, time is divided into slots. So here the basic rule is, so the sender wants to send any data packet, he can send at the starting of the time slot only. So that is the basic principle followed in the slotted Aloha. If you observe this, so A1 started in this time, A2 started in the beginning of the slot, A3 at this slot, and A4 at this slot. Okay. For example, if the sender 1 wants to transmit data, he started at 9 a.m. For example, if sender B's data is ready at 9:15 a.m., he wants to transmit data. He wants to send the data packet, but he wait until for the beginning of the next slot. For example, here the time slot is 1 hour. Time slot is 1 hour, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. So sender base data is ready at 9:15, but he waits until the beginning of the next slot. That is beginning of next slot is 10. So that is the basic principle followed there in slotted Aloha. But there also there in the slotted Aloha there is a possibility of a bit collision is there in the slotted Aloha too. So but when compared with a classical Aloha, there's some advantage with the slotted Aloha. So here in the next step is the carrier sense multiple access. So here in the carrier sense multiple access, sense the medium before transmit. That is the basic principle of carrier sense multiple access CSMA. So sense before transmitter. Here there are the 3 different versions of CSMA. Those are high persistent CSMA, N persistent CSMA, that is non-persistent CSMA, and the third one is P persistent CSMA. So what happened there in high persistent CSMA is, so CSMA since the medium is empty, it transmits the data. Coming to the N persistent CSMA, so it sends the medium is empty, it waits for some time and transmits the data. Coming to the P persistence, it sends the medium. If the medium is empty, again it sends the medium. Then that time also the medium is empty, then it starts transmission of data packet. So is the diagrammatical representation of high persistence and the P persistence CSMAs. So and next we cover the topic of demand assigned multiple access. So here the channel efficiency of general Aloha is 18% because there randomly data packet is transmitted. So whenever data packet is sent by the sender in randomly, there is a big collision, possibility of big collision is occurred. So if you are using slotted Aloha rather than the classical Aloha, so it is there is a possibility of 36% of collision. So it is increased to 80% when you are using reservation Aloha. When you are using reservation Aloha, there is a possibility of possibility is 18% to reduce the collision. So if you are using classical Aloha, the collision possibility reduces just only 18%. If you are using slotted Aloha, that is 36%. If you are using reservation Aloha, that is 80%. So here the demand assigned multiple access is nothing but the reservation Aloha. this one, reservation aloha. In that particular reserved time slot only, they transmit the data packets. But there also a possibility of collision. So that's why we just discussed here, just only 80%, the remaining 20% possibility of collision. So, but here in the classical aloha, there is a possibility of 82% of collision. In the slotted aloha, there is a possibility of 64% of collision. There in the reservation aloha, just only 20. There is just only 20% of collision. So that's what we covered there in the lecture number 4. So next, in the lecture number 5, we discussed about the packet reservation multiple access, that is PRMA packet reservation multiple access. Here in the packet reservation multiple access, how the frames are reserved and so how the reserved frames are allocated to the users, how it avoids the collisions, that we covered there in the packet reservation multiple access. And coming to the reservation TDMA, so slots are allocated N star K principle we are using here. And coming to the multiple access with collision avoidance MACA, it is the principle which are using. So what we discussed in the earlier part of this video, that is hidden and exposed terminal problems. So we can avoid the hidden and exposed terminal problems by using this multiple access with collision avoidance. Here in the multiple access collision avoidance, we are using the frames called RTS and CTS frames. So RTS frame is called request to send, and CTS frame is called clear to send frame. RTS is known as request to send, and CTS is clear to send. So by using these two frames, we can avoid the hidden terminal problem or the exposed terminal problems. So how we can avoid those problems? So first, here the sender A wants to transmit data to the sender B. The sender A transmits first an RTS frame to the request frame to the B. So if B is empty, B sends CTS frames to the A. So the data transmission is done between A and B. Again, C wants to data to the B, so it also sends RTS frame to the B, but C doesn't send the CTS frame. When C sends the CTS frame, C sends the CTS frame whenever it is empty. For example, it's starting the transmission at 9 a.m. It uses the transmission time up to 9:40. So now the B is empty at 9:40.1 second. So B sends the CTS frame to C after the 9:40. So then only C transmits the data to the B. So this avoids the collisions in the hidden terminals, because A doesn't know about C here and C doesn't know about A. So what we discussed there in the hidden terminal problem, A wants to transmit data to B, C again wants to transmit data to B. So first A starts transmission, so C doesn't know about A, so C also started to transmit the data to B. Automatically collision will be occurring there in the B. So to avoid that, if you are using RTS and CTSS frames, it reduces the hidden terminal problem. Coming to the exposed terminal problem, there in the exposed terminal problem also, by using these RTS and CTS frames, so B sends RTS frame to A, so A sends CTS frame, so B communicating with A. Again B sends RTS frame to C, so but C doesn't send an CTS frame to B because C wants to communicating with D. So in this way it avoids the exposed terminal problem, that is the multiple access with collision avoidance by using RTS and CTS frames. So, and we also covered the topic called polling. It is the schema used when one station wants to heard by others. So polling is a strictly centralized scheme with one master station and several slave stations. Here one is acting as a master and rest of other is acting as a slaves. So here the time slot allocation will be done by the master. So whatever the time slots allocated by the master, that will be followed by the slave stations. So that happened there in the polling station. So and finally inhibit sense multiple access. So is the digital sense multiple access. So after the busy tone stops accessing, the uplink is not coordinating further. So here the base station only signals a busy medium via a busy tone on the downlink. So that's what we covered in the lecture number 5. So coming to the lecture number 4, it is especially made for the CDMA. So why? Because it's a very much important one in the first part of the unit number 2, CDMA. So code division multiple access system. So here the code division multiple access. There in the FDMA frequency is divided. There in the TDMA time is divided. In the FDMA, multiple users are transmitting at a time by dividing the frequency, but they cannot use the entire bandwidth. So bandwidth is very much less when compared with TDMA. But coming to the TDMA, it is a time delay technique because at a time only one user transmits the data, but he uses the entire bandwidth. He uses entire bandwidth. To overcome those FDMA, TDMA problems, the flexible CDMA we are using here in the CDMA. At a time, we transmit the multiple centers data by combining one with another. So how the data combination is done? So there we apply a code for the to combine the signals with this advantage example. So how here the sender A wants to transmit the bits 010011. So here the AD is equals to 1 and key AK is equal, we covered this example, AK is equals to 010011. So assign 0 is equals to -1 and 1 is equal to +1. So sending signal AS. So sending signal AS is equals to AD star AK. So this one is the AS. So again B wants to transmit the data. So B we take it as BD is equals to 0. So key BK is equals to 110101. Assign 0 is equals to -1 and 1 is equals to +1. So same as usual BS is equals to BD star BK. So this is the B signal and this is the A signal. So here C is equals to combination of both AS plus BS. So here the both signals are combined together and traveled via same medium by using total bandwidth in same time. So after it reaches to the destination, how we find out the A signal, B signal is to apply C star AK and C star BK. So if it is greater than 0, the bit was 1, that is A signal. It is less than 0, that means it is in the minuses. So less than 0, automatically we observe that that is the B signal. In that way, again we split that signals into two, multiple. So in this way, so A signal, A's key performing XOR operation, then A signal is AS, is the AS. Again B key and B signal and BS plus is the B signal. So C is equals to AS plus BS. C is equals to AS plus BS. So the same happens when data from, so after adding AS plus BS, that means the signal is combined and traveled to, again you have to access, that means split by using C star AK by using C star BK. And next is the spreaded along multiple access. The receiver are not really simple devices, so communicating with n devices requiring programming of the receiver to be able to decode n different ports. The spreaded aloha, you can transmit in this way. There in the lecture number 7 is the part number 2, what we discussed in the earlier videos, that is wireless LAN. So is the what are the advantages of wireless LAN? Flexibility, planning, design, robustness, cost, and what are the disadvantages of wireless LAN? So advantages are flexibility, planning, design, robustness, or the cost. These are the advantages. Coming to the disadvantages: quality of services, property solutions, restrictions, safety and security, global operation, low power, license-free operation, robust transmission technology, and simplified spontaneous cooperation and easy to use. These are the and protection of investment, safety and security, transparency for applications. All these are the disadvantages of wireless LAN. And next one, IEEE 802.11. So the famous family of wireless LAN is IEEE 802.11. Is the group of IEEE 802.11 is the group of 802.x LAN standards. IEEE 802.11 is the group of 802.x LAN standards. For example, 802.3 is Ethernet and 802.5 is token ring. That what we covered there in the networks topic. So what happened there in IEEE 802.11 is the higher data rates of 802.11A and 802.11B. Today the most successful one, 802.11B. So here in the system architecture of IEEE 802.11, so these are the stations, station 1, station 2, station 3. These stations are connected to the access points within the base station range. So these station, for example, this station point 1 is connected to the access point in this base station range. Here the station 2 and station 3 connected to this access point in this base station range. Base station 1, base station 2, access point and access point. These access points are connected to a portal with connected via a distributed system. Connected via a distributed system. So here in the IEEE 802.11 architecture, multiple stations are connected with access points, and access points are connected to a portal connected via a distributed system within the base station range. If stations are in same base station range, there is no need of transmission, so automatically they connected directly, but it is in the range of another base station, so there the role of access point will activate it. There is another architecture model for IEEE 802.11. So this is the station 1 and station 2, station 3 are connected to access point in this base station range, base station 1 range. Here the station 4 and station 5 are connected to the access point in base station 2 range. For example, station 1, station 2 and station 3 are in base station 1 range, and station 4, station 5 are in the base station 2 range. This means station 3 can communicate directly with station 2, but not with station 5. Station 3 directly communicating with station 2 because these three are connected to one access point and one base station range, but it doesn't connect with station 5, but not with station 5 because there several IBPS can either be formed via the distance between the IBPS or by using different carrier frequencies. These are the two architectural representations of IEEE 802.11. And coming to the protocol architecture, so mobile terminal, access point, infrastructure network and fixed terminals. In mobile terminal, these application TCP, IP, LLC are common for both mobile terminal and fixed terminal, but here the difference is here in the mobile terminal and first part of the access point we are using 802.11 MAC and 802.11 physical, but second part of the LLC and that means it is MAC connecting to wired, MAC connected to wireless. So for wireless we are using 802.11, for wired purpose we are using 802.3 MAC and 802.3 physical. So at the fixed terminal part we are using 802.3 physical and 802.3 MAC, and in the mobile terminal part we are using 802.11 MAC and 802.11 physical. That is the protocol architecture for IEEE 802.11. And finally we covered the comparison between SDMA, TDMA and FDMA, TDMA. How we compared here is the approaches of idea, terminal, signal separation, advantages, disadvantages, and the some comments we posted there. So the basic idea is space division, time division, frequency division, and code division. Here the in terminals only one terminal. Here the all terminals are acting, every terminal has its own frequency. Here the terminals can acting at the same place as the same moment equated. Coming to the signal separation, here the cell structure, synchronization in the domain and filtering in the frequency domain. Here in the CDMA code plus special receivers. So and the advantages, disadvantages. So here the advantage of HDMA is simple, TDMA is established, fully digital, and FDMA is established and robust, and CDMA advantage is less frequency planning needed and soft handover. Disadvantages are for HDMA is inflexible, antenna typically fixed, and TDMA guard space is needed. Coming to the FDMA, it is inflexible, and coming to the CDMA, complex receivers needed for more complicated power control for senders. And the comments are here the SDMA combined with a combination with both all TDMA, FDMA, and CDMA, and TDMA together with FDMA and SDMA, FDMA with combined with TDMA and SDMA, and CDMA still face some problems for higher complexity and lower experience will be integrated with TDMA and FDMA. And these are the comparisons by using the approaches of idea, terminal, signal separation, advantages, disadvantages, and the comment. This is the last part, last topic we covered there in the video number, section number 8. So with this, so we complete the so here we completed the entire syllabus of unit number 2. So that is motivation. What is medium MAC? What is the need for a specialized MAC? What are the hidden terminal problems, exposed terminal problems, and near and far terminal problems, and how we have to avoid hidden and exposed terminal problems that we covered in the TDMA, and we covered SDMA, FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA, and wireless LAN IEEE 802.11. Okay, with this we successfully completed unit number 2. As I mentioned in the earlier video, which is very most important one in network point of view, and as well very much easy to you because all these topics I think you covered there in your network subject also. So which is very much in scoring point of view, this unit is very most important for you. So please don't neglect and concentrate on this unit more. Okay, thank you very much.